I am so glad that you are joining us today on Talking To. I am Rufus Bill. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a great day to be alive and to be able to share with you all of the great information that we have for you on this day, which is January 5th, 2025. Earlier on the live that I did, I said I still called it the 24th or 24, but we know it is Sunday, January 5th, 2025. And we're glad to be here. And with all that being said, we would like to say hello to Mr. Justin Hearn. Hello, Justin.
What's going on, good people? What's going on, Rufus?
I'm good. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh man, hey, it's cold outside, but I'm good.
It looked like you just came in from outside.
Not too long ago, I had some guys at my school playing basketball.
Oh,
So
did
we were
you?
just get a good run in.
Okay. All right. How'd you
Yeah.
do?
You know what? Actually, so we kind of having an issue with the building. I
Uh-uh.
think one of the boilers shut off, so it was so freezing cold in the gym. Whatever. I was like, you know what? I'm not about to sweat in here, and
In
it's
there.
cold, and then go outside, and then
Mhm.
I was like, so I actually just ran the score clock today and didn't play.
A wise
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I ain't trying to get sick, you
I
know.
know that's right.
Yeah.
And also, we would like to say hello and good afternoon or good evening to the lovely Joanne Tolson Fuller. How are you
The
doing today,
fragrance.
Joanne?
Hey, y'all.
What's going on?
Hey,
Oh, it's so good to see y'all. I'm telling
I
you.
know it
Miss
has been
Likewise.
wow.
y'all.
I was thinking today that when I was counting up how many times that we've done these series of shows, this begins the 11th show,
Wow.
the 11th, the 11th
Really?
series. So we started
Wow.
in
Wow.
2020 and on Easter.
Dang.
Can you believe that?
It's been five
It's been
years?
5 years.
Wow.
That is
It's
unreal.
longer than some relationship.
I
Wow.
know.
Man, 5 years?
That is unreal.
It is. That's
Yeah,
Time
crazy.
flies, doesn't it?
it
Time
has
flies
really
when we're
flown.
having fun.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Mhm.
So we haven't been together for I guess right around at the end of summer, and was the last time that we were all together. So, Joanne, you want to bring us up to date on anything that's been going on?
Ooh, a whole lot. A
You
whole
said a
lot.
whole lot.
A whole lot. A whole lot.
Okay. All right.
So since well, August 21st is when I had bypass surgery. I had a
Yes.
quadruple bypass August 21st. So that's been, recovery has been my focus and it's
Okay.
been going great. I mean, when I say great, great. Yeah.
I would agree with you. I would agree.
All the doctors have been just like, you must be somebody special. And I keep trying to tell them, I'm serious. I keep trying to tell them I am somebody special
How
because I'm
about
a
that?
child of God. Guess what? So
There it
because they can't,
is.
it's unbelievable. They say it's unbelievable. My recovery is unbelievable and
I
how
could agree
quickly.
with you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just grateful. I'm just so grateful.
And
Yes.
fortunate that God is still blessing
Yes.
you in your recovery, you know,
Yes.
Hmm.
because to look
Hmm.
at you, you would never know at all.
It's the truth. I don't look like what I've been through.
I
It's
know,
true.
I know that's right. Thank God for that.
Yeah. Thank God for
Justin, how
that.
about you, buddy?
Oh man. Life, just be life in
Uh-huh.
oh, and I can't even really think, just work, more work.
Okay.
Um as far as anything new, I don't think anything is new or what have you, but just living. My babies are growing. My daughter, all of my kids have had birthdays since August.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
October is the busy month. Well, Justin's birthday is September 29th,
Hmm.
and then Liberty's birthday is October 16th, and then Colin's birthday is October 28th. So,
Wow.
yeah, a lot of birthdays back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Um,
And I just saw something you posted. You had a 16-year-old.
a
Somebody
16
turned, didn't somebody turn 16? Your niece?
Anaya,
I cannot
yes,
believe
yes,
that.
yes, my niece, yeah, my
Well,
brother's
your
oldest
niece,
daughter,
you know what?
yeah.
And I thought the same thing. I said, oh, I thought that's his daughter.
No, that's my niece. But yeah, she just turned 16. We had a
Your
beautiful
niece, okay.
sweet 16 for her. She's a
That
student
is wonderful. Oh, she
At
goes to
Cass. She
Cass.
does. She goes to Cass 4.0 student.
Wow.
She's an amazing young woman.
That is so good. And I know it has to be interesting to watch her develop into a fine
Awesome.
young
Yes,
lady, you know?
it is. It
Yes,
is.
indeed. How's everything going on at the church for both of you?
But all is well. All
Okay.
is well. All is well. Yeah, no complaints. I have been I think, oh yeah, well that's new. I guess that's new. I'm not at Congress anymore.
Okay.
Yep, so that was probably July, sometime in July, when I departed from Congress. So I've been chilling. I've been chilling. I've been enjoying my Sundays. I've been picking up extra work mostly. I've been to church a few times,
Hmm.
um, going to visit with my mom and different things like
That's
that.
good.
Yeah, but I'm no longer at Congress anymore.
I saw your maybe those extra work days that bag your wife had on somewhere she went, and I said, "Oh,
Uh-oh.
oh!" I said, look at that bag
Yeah, if they just
Daddy,
She's
say,
looking
Daddy be
good.
working that
happy wife, happy life, right?
Yes,
Right.
that is hilarious. Joanne, what's been
Yeah.
going on at Burns?
Oh, we've been busy,
Okay.
busy. Yes, awesome. Bringing in the new year. We did do a New Year's Eve, like agape
Oh, okay.
fest, and so it was nice. I mean, we were home like by what 8 o'clock, because it started around 3:30. But it was
Okay.
really nice. We had a good turnout. But we've been on the move. So
Wonderful.
it's God is
Mm.
good. God is blessing us. Yeah, He
So
has.
since last I've seen you two, um, I don't I don't know how to say this, but I do know how to say it. I just want it to be come across right. So I have
Uh-oh.
I have managed,
Mhm.
with the permission of my employer at the church, to only have to do 2 rehearsals a month with this one choir,
Mm.
where we were
Okay.
doing 3 rehearsals. And when I was talking to the pastor of the church, I said, "Listen, pastor, between you and me and the phone, these 3 rehearsals, I don't see a change."
Mm. I don't see it change. Oh man. Oh man.
I said, "So this is my recommendation." And fortunately for me, she went along with it, and she said, "Well, Mr. Bill, I trust you. So carry on." I said, "Hallelujah." Now,
Mm.
since that decision was made, I would say in the month of December, we probably only had 1 rehearsal. In November, I think we only had one, just because of the holidays,
Hmm.
just various how those dates fell.
Hmm.
I said,
Mhm.
there is a God. I said, thank you.
There is a guy.
Now I'm
Yeah,
making
you're
it
right.
sound like they're bad, but they're not. In fact, they sang today, and they sang so
Okay.
well. I said, listen to that. I said, man,
All we need
y'all
is one
sound,
rehearsal, right?
all we need is one. Bring your tape recorders.
Bring the
That's
tape
right.
recorders.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah.
No, but yeah,
well, they need to
I have
bring
to.
tape recorders anyway.
How
Shoot.
about that? They should
How
bring
about
them
that? And
anyway.
let's go home and listen to your music.
to listen to your music. Justin's mom was an advocate of that when I played for their choir. She was always recording, and whenever Sister Hearn had a solo, I didn't have to wait 3 weeks for her to learn it. She would come back that next week on point.
Hey,
She is an excellent. She's a
and
choir
those are people
director.
you like to work with.
Yes. Yes. But I've been with some jokers and they said to me, "Oh, you wanted us to listen to that?"
Duh.
I sent it to you. I
Right.
ain't just sending inspirational music.
Right.
Just
For
to
you
be
to just
sending
listen.
it. Okay. All right. But we have some topics that we want to talk about, and before we continue on, so one of our loyal listeners would like to send out some positive knowing thoughts of healing. Pastor Pam. So she's slightly under the weather, and we just want to let her know that we love and appreciate her for being so loyal and speak. We spoke her up. How about that? Happy New Year, everybody!
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Oh, look, y'all! Look at that picture. She all dialed up on this
I know,
one.
right?
That's a glamour shot.
And she done stepped it up for 2025.
Color. Look at her color.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
She said, "Well, I don't look like what I've been through." Okay.
I know that.
But yeah, we wanted to send her positive knowing thoughts of healing. We know that God is blessing and healing. So, speaking about healing, Joanne, Justin Hearn,
Yes.
he kind of beat us to the punch, well, which was perfectly fine. But he said something addressing all of the fellas. And Joanne, before I say what Justin posted, did you find challenges with your dad or your husband or your son trying to get them involved in their health and taking a more active role in their health? Was it challenging or did it come easy?
No, it was challenging. It was challenging. I don't know why. And I'm not trying to stereotype, but it seemed like for men, it's harder for them to take care of their health when it comes to going to the doctors and getting checkups and the yearly. I get my yearly physical. I mean yearly physical, and so trying to get them to, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. It's like we just want to make sure everything is good and not when you start feeling something and it's like And so now my husband is on it. He's on it.
Good.
He's going through the process now of his yearly physical. And
Okay.
so, but yeah, at first it was like pulling teeth. It was like pulling, just like, come on, and thank God, because you have so many men who have issues, find out it's late.
Yeah,
It's late. I'm not gonna say it's too late. Sometimes it is too late. But when you don't wait till you have a stroke to make sure your blood pressure is always. So diabetes, especially with us as Blacks, our diabetes, and the high blood pressure and prostate, and all of that, and there's no reason that you have to die from those things if you do what you need to do.
Exactly.
So
Justin wrote the post. He wrote the post. Fellas, go ahead and schedule that physical for the year. Health is not based on how you feel. It's based off that blood work. Know your numbers. What prompted that post, Justin?
Just recently, went to the doctor and got my yearly physical. I figured that if I do it in January, every year, that it's kind of easier to remember because it's new year versus it being in 6 months and everything. And when you go, they, because a lot of times people, when you ask people, especially men, like it's crazy because today. Whenever I bring guys to the gym, I always, bring them together before we play basketball. And that was one of the messages I said, like, hey guys, I know you guys are all young, we all feeling good, whatever, whatever. but you never know what your blood work is saying. You know what I mean? And you can't go based off how you feel. You have to go get you have to know your numbers. So it's like sometimes we base health off of how we feel, but it's like no, it's really based off the numbers. So you could be having no symptoms at all, and your blood sugar can be high. You could just be blessed that you're not, experiencing, or your blood pressure could be normal, and you have a high stress job. So you could think that the stress that you're feeling just comes naturally from your environment and different things like that. So it's important to know your numbers. True health is in the blood. It's not based on how you feel, because your blood work is going to tell you. It's going to tell you everything you need to know.
That's right.
So instead of just going based, oh, I feel good, I only go to the doctor, something hurt. Okay, that's fine. But once a year, you need to, is your iron low? You know what I mean? What is your blood sugar? What is your blood pressure? Just those type of things. And most men, we don't do it. We don't make time. We don't make time for it.
I remember when I was covering a story, a health fair, for when I was at the radio station WQBH, and so we were trying to promote men to come out to the health fair and to get tested in terms of high blood, cholesterol, and just other normal things that men should get tested for. And so I volunteered, to be a live person to do it, And so the lady took my blood, and I'm going through the process of telling what I was getting tested for. I think it had something, it had something to do with your blood level. I mean, when you have low blood, it's anemic. So anyway,
iron,
for the iron. So we're going through it, and I'm talking, and so we went to a commercial break, and the nurse, she said to me, she says, "Oh my God," she says, "how are you walking around?" And of course that freaked me out. And I was like, I was like, what is going on? She says, your blood is very low, your iron is low, and we need to get you some orange juice or something to get it up, because it's a wonder that you're not you haven't fainted. And as Justin was saying, Joanne, I felt very well. I never was dizzy. I didn't have any signs of anything or anything, And so, and I was guilty of not being a person who was going to get checked out. And I probably was like 30, like your age, 30, 31. And so, when you're on that side of the fence, the doctors are really the least things that you think about.
That you think about. Yeah, true.
You may do the dentist.
Right.
But a physician, no, not at all. And
because you live in life, in the 30s, you in your career,
you are.
Or your family, you got little children, you got, so it's like it's a lot going on in life, period. And so you don't think about those things. As long as I'm feeling good, I'm good.
You're right. And another thing, Justin, you see a lot of infomercials and posts and commercials about women. It's telling women, go get checked out, get your mammogram, get all of the, especially for the ovarian cancer test. You hear that consistently throughout the day, all week, but you rarely hear about advertisers or doctors trying to get men to check out that blood pressure. What I've noticed, you see a lot of the what is it? They call it ED, erectile
dysfunction.
You see a lot of commercials for that.
Right.
But what is interesting about that, and men who are on the other side of being able to be what they once were, they'll go and check that out.
Right.
And order and do whatever, but not realizing that that pill or whatever injection will increase your blood pressure. And if you have not checked regularly about your blood pressure, that could be almost a death
Mess
wish,
you up.
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it is important at every age, especially for men, but for all of us,
Yeah.
but especially for men because we're kind of laxed with taking care of ourselves. And for
Mm-hmm.
some reason we want to give that job of accountability to our wives as opposed to being
We
responsible
can
for
only do
yourself.
so much.
I know
We can
Mm-hmm.
only do so much.
you can only do so much, you can only say so much. So I thought that was an interesting post. What was the feedback, Justin?
Some was like, surprisingly, a lot of guys just like, oh dang, I never thought about that. And I was like, yeah, and then I related it to LeBron James' son. I don't know if that was last year sometime. He was out at USC playing basketball for the college, and he just dropped and suffered
That's
cardiac
right.
arrest. He had something going on. I'm not sure what was going on, but here it is, 18, 0% body fat, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying, muscles, and fell out. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
work out every day.
Mhm.
So if it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody. And I think some of them was awakening, like, oh shoot, like I didn't think about that. In fact, let me go do it. So that was the common thread, like, okay, I'll schedule it. So I know that sometime in June we have a men's wellness month at my job, and we bring in speakers and different stuff, and we give away free food and haircuts and stuff like that. And we do have the mobile units that are out there checking cardiovascular systems and hearts and different things like that. So, there I think that the world is catching up and is paying attention that, hey, men aren't paying attention and people are trying to do some things, but much more needs to be done and more awareness needs to be spread.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
So
Yes.
one of the
So true.
things that we are hearing a lot about right now, we're going to switch gears before we get into that sports, because I know
Hmm.
everybody they're waiting for that. What is it?
Hmm.
8:14,
Hmm.
and we were late today, so we promised we're going to be done at 8 o'clock. But one of the things that has been in the news and has been a conversation. Let me bring everybody up in the conversations. Um, is transgender,
Hmm.
and you can't go or be anywhere or be on social media and not see it or not hear it. And especially the two of you all are in careers that you may run across or come in contact more so than I would with transgenders. Now, let me try to be as sensitive on this subject as possible because I don't want to offend anybody. So years ago, before it was in the limelight,
Hmm.
um, you were maybe familiar with hearing, and Joanne may have been more so than you, Justin, because of your age, but hearing
Hmm.
about cross dressers or female impersonators or drag queens. That's probably like the 90-ish, 90s, early 2000s, maybe, and even beyond that or before that. But now you hear a lot of the transgenders. We've seen children of celebrities and not even all celebrities who are their parents are allowing them to make decisions um, to assign a particular sex to them. And now we also have heard about President-elect Donald Trump rescinding some of the bills or some of the maybe the strides or the progresses that have been made in the LGBT community concerning transgenders and bathrooms.
Hmm.
I know it's a touchy subject, and I I don't know if everyone is is knowledgeable in terms of the the entire big picture. Now, I don't have any transgender friends, but I have, just from what I hear and what I've seen, and you all can definitely chime in on it. When they say that some from as early as a child knew that they were in the wrong bodies,
Mm.
and we probably should have had a professional that on this subject on, and we can do that at a later date. But I said that must be an awkward feeling to think, to know that you don't feel welcome in your body, and that you think the resolve is to have a new sex identification. So now we all know biblically what where that how that the point biblically is regarding LGBT community. But I want to remove that, or I don't want to focus on that part of it. But just as a human, do you have any thoughts about that? About people feeling awkward in their bodies as their biological sex and want to change it? That was a whole lot of packed action.
Joanne, you want to go first, Joanne? I mean, I'm just go ahead. Yeah, I'm just.
That is so hard. First of all, to have that confusion going on with you,
Hmm.
and you know, it's been probably since who knows how long.
Yes.
Because little kids have that confusion, and that's where the guidance of parents teaching, and I that's so hard. I mean, because I even know when I was little, I was such a tomboy.
Hmm.
And my mother trying to go put on a skirt or go put, and then I go and shoot the shorts under because I wanted to. I'm the one but I was the only girl. But I'm out
Right.
in the neighborhood playing football and baseball and all that stuff with the boys in the neighborhood, and they could climb a tree, and I'm gonna show you how I can climb a tree even higher.
Hmm.
So it's to me, part of it is, especially when it comes to little children, is the teaching of the parents. That's where the guidance comes in.
Hmm.
But even as that's hard. Even as an adult, to have that confusion within you,
Yeah.
you know. And what is it? What does all that mean? What is that a part of? What is that? It's easy, and it's easy to say, well, we know that's, or it's easy to say, oh, well, that's a part of sin, or that's a part of, it's easy to say that. But when you're living that, what is that? How
What
does it
is that?
have that confusion? And I understand because I personally have known hermaphrodites.
Okay.
So I personally have known hermaphrodites. So I understand that more
Hmm.
than I understand you were born a sex. So now you're saying that God made a mistake. So it's just so many questions and so much that you can talk about. Um, phew, and
I
just trying
agree.
to mental, because I'm not going with you what you're going through. So I don't know.
Hmm.
It's just so much. And yeah, I have certain opinions, but I'm like you said, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but just to know that somebody has that confusion as far as adulthood. Little
Hmm.
children, I think you should help them, direct them. And I'm not saying it's not going to still be there. I'm not saying that. I don't know, but I know that we've all have, you know, that's that's part of childhood,
Yes, it
is
is.
learning identification, learning male, female, learning, you got a penis, you have a vagina. That why you have, you know what I'm saying? So that's part of
Hmm.
childhood. get older, that confusion is, to me, is hard.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I don't. Man, I don't think that. I mean, you don't know what somebody's going through, and you can't relate
Hmm.
to what they're experiencing in their body.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to comment on, how a person feels within their body or anything like that. But I would say
Because it's
that
really hard to do.
it's really you can't, right, because I'm not in
It's
your
hard.
shoes.
Hmm.
But
It's hard to be still.
I would say that most people though are are looking at outside forces and trying to make them equate to what's inside. And I don't think that that's correct. You can't look at it and say, well, I like pink. And because I like pink, then that means that I like Barbies, that I'm a girl. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You can't, how do you do that?
Got you.
Or just because you like football and you like hanging out with the boys and you like, climbing trees, that doesn't make you a boy. It
Right.
doesn't make you a boy. And so I think that that's what it is that we're looking at identity crisis, what I'm saying, across the board. I believe in my heart that gender is a fact. That gender is a fact. I know that people, can be in rare cases are born with two parts or one and a half parts or whatever. But if you look down to the DNA, it's not split 50-50. There's still one more than the other one.
Than the
You know
other.
what I mean? Than the other one. So I believe that
One gene is predominant over the other. Yeah.
over the other one, correct. So I believe that gender is a fact now, and I think that if you're a boy, what I'm saying, your chemical makeup is this, and if you're a woman, your chemical makeup is this. But however, regardless of what you are born, I believe that you can like whatever you like. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so if you I you can like
I
what you want to
agree.
like. And so if you want to like a man and you're a man, and like a man, more power to you. If you want to, well, be a woman, like a woman, if you are a man and you want to like both, then that's on you. But
Yeah.
I think that what we're doing is we're trying to, when you try to overly prove something that is right, you start getting down to these things that which causes so much confusion, when this is really simple. Be happy, like who you like, and this whole thing with the different pronouns, or I can be, what I'm saying, I can be a man, but I'm going to identify as a woman, and
As a
you have
woman.
to call me a woman. No, you're a man, and that's okay. And if you want to like a woman, like a woman. If you want to like a man, like a man. But why are we trying to get down to the root cause? But I think that is what's behind it, is that you have to find a way to discredit God, because God is the biggest thing that stands in the middle of the community, saying that something is right or something is wrong. So if you can discredit it at its root, then the question is, then what is it? What am I, or how do I feel? So I just think that we've dissected this thing down to stuff that does not make any sense at all. And I think that it's all about, and we try to make identity about sexual preference. At the end of the day, it's sexual preference.
Hmm.
And whatever your sexual preference is, that's okay. You know what I mean? I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in, and I mind my own business. So I don't care what you like or who you like.
Right.
And I believe you should like who you like, because even though that I identify as a Christian most times, it's like, I won't interject my belief system on to you,
To
because I
you.
understand that there's different religions, there's different chains of thought. So I would never tell anybody they going to hell for what anything that they're doing, because that's between them and God. You know what I mean? But I think that we've overanalyzed this, and that's why it's causing so much confusion. And I've seen it much more in kids. They're confused because they are relating activities with sexual
With section.
preference,
Hmm.
or sex in general, and the activities that you like to do, whether you like to do, there are dope hairdressers and makeup artists that are heterosexuals.
Yes,
You
they
don't
are.
have to be gay because you like to do hair, but society has said that, oh,
Yeah.
he's gay if he does this. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a stigmatism in church that choir directors are gay. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Some of them are. You know what I mean? Some of them are. Some of them do like men. But not all of them. So I feel like we have to learn how to be who we decide, who we know. I don't know. Because it's like if you don't know, I guess you don't know. But I think we just dissected it too much, and now it's all, confused
Confused and deluded.
and it's diluted, and it's all because we're trying to identify activities and sexual preference based on our identity when gender is a fact. You're either born a male or a female. That's
Hmm.
it. It's gender is a fact. It's not. But if you want to change your pronoun and you want to change yourself, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But gender is a fact.
During the Christmas season, I had come up with this idea of that I was going to go into hair salons and play Christmas music for the client. So I would make contact, and this is before internet and all that. We'll call on the phone and like, hi, I'm Rufus Bill. I play piano. I would like to come into your shop and play Christmas songs, Christmas carols. And so I did that this one particular year. And so I had to be around the age of 20 something, maybe 25, 24.
Hmm.
Now, take in consideration, now I have been in the Seventh-day Adventist environment my entire life up until maybe the age of 21, maybe 19 when I started working and all of that. So the outside world was very new to me. So anyway, I went on to this shop, and I don't know if Joanne is familiar, and Justin, you might be familiar with the name of the shop just from hearing it. It was
Hmm.
called Billy Joel's, and Billy Joel was a guy, um, outstanding hairstylist, way ahead of his time. And at some point in some time, he he became like one of the first black men to become transgender,
Hmm.
but they just would say it had a sex change. Now I
Mm.
didn't know any of this because I just didn't know. Now when I and from Billy Joe, he became Latoya Pearson, and she would
Hmm.
do a lot of fashion shows all across the country. And I never I never saw her as a man. I took her for what she how she presented herself. But I was so young, I didn't know anything. And so
Mhm.
I performed at her shop, and she gave me some money, and then she took me out to to lunch or dinner, whatever it was. And there was a restaurant called the Backstage on Woodward. We went there, and so we were sitting, she was facing the door. And so she says, "Oh, I just can't." She's something like, I, I hate it when people call me Billy Joe. I'm not Billy Joe anymore." We were with somebody else. Well, it was her husband we were with. And so I said, "Billy Joe?" And so it was four of us. So the other person was older, and they knew all about what had happened and all that. And then that's when I learned, and she Latoya Pearson, just she said, "Well, look, I think she called me Junior. Junior, this is what's going on." And she explained, and this, that, and the other. And I was just simply in awe. Now, when she
Hmm.
told me what occurred, then of course my mind, oh yeah, I see manly features. Now, I didn't see it before. But anyway, I said, well, those hands do look a little bigger. And then, you're looking, and I remind you be that age, so you're still growing and learning.
Right.
But the one thing that she said to me, or she said at the table, she says, if we could just base our living on love, other things
Mhm.
would behaviors would change. Not that we would have to accept or to embrace it, but just have some type of knowledge about it, and so that it's not so taboo and so like ugh, your might be like, oh, and
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
just stuck into my head. And then years later, here we are now. It's just everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And I think it's a conversation that people are afraid to have, um, because they don't know, you don't know what someone's where they stand on it. You don't know what there may be someone in their family, for many reasons, almost like adoption was at one certain time. Don't say nothing. They adopted. It was a stigma
Hmm.
behind that. But I thought that would merit in today's climate that we should just kind of mention it, and over maybe the next 12 weeks we'll come back and revisit.
Yeah.
And I agree that it should be based, our attitude should be based on love, but I also agree that it should come from both sides
Yes, it should.
because um, it's to the point where you can have an opinion, but I can't have an opinion.
Right.
And if
And that's the
everything is based
right.
on love, then that means you have an opinion, I have an opinion. We might no, may I might not agree with you, but guess what? I don't
Right.
hate you.
I don't
I'm not
hate you.
going to try to harm you. I will, if I live next to you, work with you, whatever. I'm gonna treat you right
Hmm.
because, like Justin said, I don't have a heaven or hell to send you to. I'm not the one to worry about. But
Right.
Exactly.
it seems like it's gotten to the point where we have to accept, and I say we as far as heterosexuals, we have to
Hmm.
accept, and it's okay. We have to accept the lifestyles, but I can't have an opinion. I can't have my own opinion about it. So if I say I disagree or I don't agree with that lifestyle, then I'm bashed and,
Right.
oh, she's
Canceled
against and
and
You're the
she's
problem.
this, she's that. And no, I just don't agree with the lifestyle, but
Hmm.
I'm not going to treat you any different than I treat anybody else.
Exactly.
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the hatred comes from both sides. The
It
animosity
does.
comes from both sides. And to the one side, it's almost like now, because I feel like you have to accept me, now I got to shove it down your throat. And
Right.
I think that's what
Yeah.
society has gotten to. That I got to
Hmm.
shove it down your throat. I got to make sure you understand or make sure you know. And like, instead of just living your life, live your life.
Exactly. Live your life. Live your
Just
life.
live.
Yeah. I think that
But the only thing that gets me is, and I just was a couple of weeks ago, I saw these articles, and they're talking about men having babies, and they show these pregnant, they're transgender,
Hmm.
pregnant men,
Male
supposedly,
looking.
with beards and everything, but they're not men. And so I'm
Right.
like, okay, so now y'all, for real? Because then that just shows you that you're not a man. Because what's the definition of a man? But now it's this
right.
big thing now of these women who transgendered to men who get pregnant. And so now they're doing all these articles now on men having babies. But and they're showing the bellies and all of that. They're
I've seen
showing them
some.
7, 8, 9 months. You're not a man. So that just proves to you right there. So that's why it's that confusion that goes on in the mind. I'm not living that life, so I really don't understand that confusion that you're living. I don't understand that where your mind is. I don't understand, and I'm not going to try to, but I'm not going to treat you wrong either.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
So
what,
It's
what, what were you gonna say, Justin?
I was gonna say it's definitely been an agenda for a long time. When you look at, I looked at some statistics, and I'm in no way, shape, or form saying like I said again, I believe people can do what they want to do, they can like what they want to like, but I do feel some type of way of how people choose to shove stuff, down our
Down your
throats and
throat.
make it overly,
Mhm.
overly, digested. Like we know it
Extra.
exists and it's okay. And if people want that lifestyle, they'll find that lifestyle. But I was having an interesting. I had the opportunity to work with a lesbian female, for almost over a year, and it was a lot of understanding that I learned from working with her. And so,
Mhm.
one of my things where I said, well, I don't like how, they shove stuff down our faces. I mean, I said, if you look at the world, there's 340, million people or whatever is living in the United States. Out of those, out of that number, I think this was some years ago, only like 1% identified as, homosexual. So I'm like, of course, there's gonna be people on down low, but for
Mhm.
me to turn on my TV and only 1%, so we're talking about roughly, 1.2 million people out of 340 million people are homosexuals. Why is it on the cartoon? Why is it like it's everywhere? And then,
Right.
her response was, well, why are straight people everywhere? Why are heterosexual relationships everywhere? And I'm just like, okay, valid point, right? Because if it's
Mhm.
a lifestyle and it's a lifestyle people choose, we don't get to say what's normal, because normal is going to be defined by the person who's having the experience, right?
Experience.
Right.
Society has made heterosexual relationships, quote unquote, normal, and because
Normal.
again, we accept that norm, and because we accept that norm, we think that, and this is not saying we, I'm just using this
In
mean that
general.
in general, that same sex, relationships are abnormal. Well, when you see something as abnormal, what is it? It's taboo. It's wrong. It's, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, it becomes all these different things because it's not the norm. It's not what people do, whatever. Like,
Exactly.
I think that people, like, even and so it's like, man, so that was like kind of eye-opening for me to say, like, oh wow, like, even in the space I am, as it relates to church and ministry and different things like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's not normal, because most people want to be committed, to a church. Most people want to belong to a church. Most people will
Mhm.
say, like, if you don't belong to a church, you're not serving the local church. You know what I mean? That, what I'm saying, that you're sinning, or you're missing God, or something like that. And it's like,
Backsliding.
you're backsliding, right? So
Mhm.
even me, in a path that I am with my life, it can be looked at as super negative. However, I know who God is, and I don't need to go to church for anybody to tell me who God is,
Who he is.
because if you've been going to church long enough, you should have your own relationship with God. Now, I'm not saying there's something wrong with fellowshipping and being with people. I think there's a blessing, and I think there's love in it. I think that, you get people to support you. You get people that can lean on you, that can pray for you. So there's some wonderful things that comes out of being connected and
Mhm.
fellowshipping with church. However, but God ain't just the God of this church on the corner. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, he's way bigger than that. And so I get how it can feel. And it's like, you take the information and you say, okay, well, everybody's normal is gonna be different.
You were talking about earlier after you had mentioned the departure from your former church, or I should say your
Hmm.
former church. And I said, while you were saying that, I said, now it's interesting because you were still ministering, even
Hmm.
on the basketball court, telling
Hmm.
people telling the guys about their health, um, and what they should do to stay healthy or get healthy or to see if they are healthy. And I agree with you, Justin. It, it doesn't have to take place in that building. And
Hmm.
as Joanne said, you don't have to be rude or disrespectful to someone who is different physically, mentally than
Hmm.
you. But the bottom line is we have to show respect uh, to everyone. But I'm a big component for please don't shove that down my throat. I
Yeah.
mean, we know it's there, but
Right.
let's don't shove it down the throat. Now, listen,
Right.
we're going to revisit the subject. We're going to have maybe someone that is who may be considered an expert to come join us the next time we talk about this, because there's other facets that I would like to talk about. But before we go,
Mm-hmm.
what is going to go on tonight, Justin?
Lions are gonna
And
win.
what
That's
we
what's
gonna
gonna
do?
happen. That's
What
gonna
we
happen.
gonna do?
Lions are gonna win. I think that I would say
My
I would say
babies
this.
are roaring.
I'll say this: the NFL after this year, I would love to see the Lions organization push for a rule change. Right now, as it is, you have the NFC, you have the AFC, so you have two divisions, and
Mhm.
so the first, so there's 7 teams out of that division that can make it to the playoffs. There's
Right.
32 teams in the NFL, so it's roughly 16 teams in each division. So how it's set up is the division leaders, which is the division is the NFC. There could be like the Lions, Chicago, the Vikings, and the Vikings. I mean, oh, and Green Bay are all in the same division. So you have 4 divisions. Whoever are those 4 division leaders is, they automatically go to the playoffs, and they are automatically seeded based off of whoever has the best record of them is the 1 seed, and then depending on what division you are, determines if you're the 2, the 3, the 4, or the 2 to 3 or the 4. However, because the Lions are in the most competitive division, you have the Lions and the Vikings that are both top of their division, but because they play in the same division, with one loss to each other, one of them are going to be the number 1 seed, and then the other one is going to drop down to the 5th seed, 1 of 5. But in that 5th seed, they might be tied for the second best record in that conference. So
Okay.
that's a big error because they're putting more on winning a division when they should do it like basketball and say, okay, you can give a division leader a playoff bid. However, you need to categorize them based off their record. So the best team with the best record is first place, second place, third place, and not, oh, because I play in the NFC East, I'm the second seed. So pretty like this, the Lions are 14-2 right now. If they lose
Right.
today, they will still make the playoffs, but they have a better record than the Rams, and they beat the Rams this year. If the
Yes.
Lions lose, we will have to go to California and play the Rams in the playoffs because we lost the division, but we still have a better record than the Rams do. That's
Okay.
flawed. It's very
That
flawed.
is flawed. That
Yeah.
is
So the Lions, because they have a better record, they, regardless if they won their division or not, they should be playing hosting a playoff game. So the Lions are really playing this game to host every playoff game that they have, but despite the Super Bowl at Ford Field. So that's why this game is important. If the Lions win, they get a first round bye, which means the first week of the playoffs, they do not have to play. They automatically advance, and then they only need 2 games to get to the Super Bowl. That's it. You win 2 games, and both of those games are guaranteed to be at Ford Field. Now, if you lose this game, then you have to go on. So you have to play next week, and depending on you have to play next week, and then depending on if it's a division winner or not, you might be on the road. Like last year. Last year we lucked up. I think we played we just played the first 2 at home, but then we played the San Francisco game was in San Francisco. So
California, right?
it's a lot on the line today. I just kind of wanted to walk through that. Just something different other than Lions gotta win, let's win. But yeah.
I love that. I did see, what time is it? 8:09, 2 more minutes. I did see that you said on that post, even if we did win, you mentioned something about all of the injuries.
Oh, okay. So I said that I no longer expect the Lions to win a Super Bowl. Is that what you're saying? Is that the post?
Yes. To
Okay,
win
so
a
I
Super
said,
Bowl, yes.
yep. I said I no longer expect the Lions to win a Super Bowl because we've faced too many injuries. Now, a lot of people are calling me a bandwagon fan. A lot of people are saying some really mean and cruel things. I always try to have an honest take regarding my team or any team. I'm not going to be a Lions slappy and just drink the Kool-Aid and just hopefully unrealistic. Now, I want them. I hope my hope is that they will win a Super Bowl. But my expectation is looking at how bad this defense is, and it's just that we've lost so much. It's not that they were historically bad. It's just that the Lions been making it off of broken pieces. And at some point, that can go the other way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like you may get some salt water, or you might get some waves that ain't as calm. The broken pieces ain't gonna work. That's all. That's all that I'm saying. So looking at what they have, it's like, man, it's possible, but man, I no longer expect it. Versus the first 10 games of the season, I'm like, oh, Super Bowl, like we got it, like this is
Right.
it. You know what I mean? It's changed. It's changed.
Well, we're definitely gonna be glued to the screen. Joanne, as Justin say, this might be a nail biter.
Hey, I'm telling you. I'm telling
Hopefully,
you.
listen. The
You
y'all
hear
know
my
what,
lions roaring in the background?
We hear roaring, Joanne.
you know, hopefully this is BTA. This is what this needs to be. BTA. And y'all don't know what BTA is, y'all gotta look it up
Oh
later.
Lord,
But this needs
what is
to be
BTA?
BTA. Okay.
Oh,
Be
No.
what?
Belt 2. BTA.
That is too funny.
Belt to yes. That's what it is. That's what this needs to be.
Well, on that note, Joanne,
Just keep roaring. That's all I'm gonna
just
say.
keep roaring,
Let's keep
Lions.
rolling.
Just keep roaring.
Y'all didn't see the celebration that St. Brown did last week?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so after he scored a touchdown, he did a BTA. He told the camera guy to come here. He grabbed the camera. He said, "Turn around. What I tell you? What I tell you?"
That's what that meant.
I'm gonna have to look at that.
And that's BTA. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up for y'all. Let me see.
Yikes! That's an old fashioned BTA.
There you go.
Look, that's a switch or extension cord, BTA.
Yes, that's
Yep, exactly.
more so that extension cord.
Maybe a belt.
Maybe, but for
Yeah.
full effect, you want that extension cord. Well, we're being very hopeful and energetic for our Detroit Lions. And I was reading an article yesterday, and a sports commentator was praising the fans of the Detroit Lions. They said, you all are relentless. You cheer when they lose, but when they win,
Hey.
well,
we so used to losing.
We're so used to losing. We're so used to it, we still root them on.
Support the team even when they lose. So you gotta support them. But hey,
Yes.
they winning. Woo!
We all for it. And I think Barry Sanders is kind of riding this wave too, because I see him everywhere with the Lions now. He said, "Don't associate me with that them losing players."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I want to be with the winners." Every time I look up, Barry at the game waving.
Right.
5 years ago, we didn't even know if he was still in the city. We hardly would see him.
He's peeking.
Looking around corners. Oh man. But listen, did you find it, Justin?
Oh yeah, I did. I pull it back up.
Well, this has been a great show, and we're going to pick it up again next week, next Sunday, 7:00 p.m. Talking with Justin, Joanne, and yours truly, Rufus. Oh, now wait a minute. Now, see, we trying to help her get healed. She said Ohio State plays Texas. Something else she said. Ohio State is playing good.
The Lions playing today. I love you, Miss Pam, but
oh, look, Joanne. BTA almost slipped.
Yeah, he took off the belt. He took it off.
He took it off.
Hey,
that was a beat down, Justin.
Yeah, yes, it was. Took off the belt. Come here.
That's
What I
all
tell
right.
you?
What I tell you?
I tell you.
Yeah, we
well, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, we are. Well, look, we'll gather it right, Joanne. I tell everybody every time I get ready to say something bad, Joanne says, if it's not good, don't say it. But listen, everybody have a great evening, and we thank everyone for viewing us and listening to us. And as you look at the rebroadcast, Thank you so much for your views. Justin and Joanne, have a great evening.
You
Peace.
too. Peace.
I'm
All
about to
right.
go watch. I'm about to go watch this BTA.
Okay. I'm going to join in. Have a good one. Have a good one,
You too.
Joanne. And thank you once again for listening to Talking to Rufus Bill, Joanne Tolson Fuller, Justin Hearn. We greatly, greatly appreciate you sticking and staying. Have a great one.